impending death. He knows that death will surely come, yet he is nevertheless callous and neglectful. If his father dies, he wants to enjoy his father's property. And if his son dies, he wants to enjoy his son's possessions as well. In either case, he heedlessly tries to enjoy material happiness with the acquired money. Purport by His Divine Grace Prabhupada Ki Jai. Material happiness means to have good facilities for eating, sleeping, sexual intercourse, and defense. Within this material world, the materialistic person lives only for these four principles of sense gratification, not caring for the impending danger of death. After his father's death, a son tries to inherit his money and use it for sense gratification. Similarly, one whose son dies tries to enjoy the possessions of his son. Sometimes the father of a dead son even enjoys his son's widow. Materialistic persons behave in this way. Thus, Sukdev Goswami says, how wonderful are these pastimes of material happiness transacted by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, materialistic persons want to commit all kinds of sinful activities, but without the sanction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no one can do anything. Why does the Supreme Personality of Godhead permit sinful activities? The Supreme Lord does not want any living being to act sinfully, and he begs them through his good conscience to refrain from sin. But when someone insists upon acting sinfully, the Supreme Lord gives him the sanction to act at his own risk. Matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha. No one can do anything without the sanction of the Lord. But he is so kind that when the conditioned soul persists in doing something, the Lord permits the individual soul to act at his own risk. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, sons always outlive their fathers in other planetary systems and other lands in this universe, especially on Swargalok. However, on this planet Earth, a son often dies before his father, and the materialistic father is pleased to enjoy the possessions of his son. Neither the father nor the son can see the reality that both of them are awaiting death. When death comes, however, all their plans for material enjoyment are finished. Om Agyan Timirandasya Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahiyam Dadati Sapadantikam. He Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinbandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namastate. Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishpanuste Devi Pranamami Hari Priyai. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमामि विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. Alas, how wonderful it is that the foolish materialistic person does not heed the great danger of impending death. He knows that death will surely come, yet he is nevertheless callous and neglectful. If his father dies, he wants to enjoy his father's property. And if his son dies, he wants to enjoy his son's possessions as well. In either case, he heedlessly tries to enjoy the material happiness with the acquired money. Oh my Krishna. Okay, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, which is called as the Creative Impetus. And we are reading from chapter number 18, which is called as what? What is the name of
The prayers offered to the Lord by the residents of Jambudvipa.
Prayers offered by, the residents of Jambudvipa.
Jambudvipa.
And these are the prayers offered by the residents of which Varsha?
Bhadrashva Varsha.
Bhadrashva. How do you pronounce it? Bhadrashva?
Bhadrashva Varsha.
Bhadrashva Varsha. Okay. So yesterday, what was the prayer offered? What were the two important components or elements of the prayer that the residents of Bhadrashva Varsha offered to Supreme Personality of Godhead Hayashirsha? What did they say? That you are the reservoir of
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Reservoir of all religious principles, Mataji. Who cleans the heart
and cleanses the heart of the
conditioned soul in the material world.
Conditioned soul in the material world. Yes. So you see, now the residents of Bharatashva Varsha, we discussed that they are not short of any sort of material enjoyment. No, they're not. They have an abundance of it. We cannot even imagine how much they have. It's because our imagination is like a frog in a well. We cannot imagine how big sea is, right? I hope you all know that story. But they are offering obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for the spiritual development. And they are emphasizing that you can clean my heart, Krishna, because the heart is a place where all these desires for material enjoyment are sitting. And there is no other way to clean the heart other than to come to you and become completely vulnerable. Also, I come to you because you are the reservoir of all religious principles. If I come to you, everything is complete. There's nothing lacking, right? And then in this particular verse, they're emphasizing that what the unclean heart can lead to. Unclean heart leads to unclean intelligence, and unclean intelligence leads to unclean actions, right? So over here saying that we are going to die. Everybody knows that. Is there anyone who is not aware that the death is surely coming, or as sure as death? Is there anybody who is not aware, at least theoretically? At least theoretically.
No.
No, Mataji.
You know, so many big firms and businesses run, right? Like, for example, life insurance, right? Or for example, one of my friends is advanced directives or end of life care, okay, or this writing the will, or so there are so many businesses running in the material world on the basis of this knowledge that death is for sure. Yes or no? Do we see this or no? Life insurance, end of life care, advanced directives, writing a will after I die, what will happen to my assets? Yes or no? They're not originating since Krishna, Prabhupada established ISKCON. They were there, right? Are we aware?
Yes,
Mataji.
Mataji.
So basically, a foolish person is aware. So you see, he knows. See, here it's written that he knows that death will surely come. So the problem is not that the knowledge is lacking. He knows it, but what is lacking? But he's nevertheless callous and neglectful. Doesn't care. It doesn't care. How do we know that he doesn't care, or a person is not caring for the impending death? How do we know? What are some of the signs? For example, if a student knows that I'm going to be having exam, they know that the exam date is out and the exams are going to start, but they're not studying. So it's not that they're not aware that the exam is coming, but they're not studying. So because they're neglectful. So like that, we have a death coming. Okay, it's coming, let it come. But we're neglectful. So how do we know that we are neglectful? How do we know? How do you know that this student is neglectful of the upcoming exams? How do you know the student is neglectful?
Maybe the enjoyment there.
There's a lack of preparation, no?
Yeah, true.
Right? They're not reading for the exam. Right? The student knows the exam date is out, not studying. So like that, how are we callous and neglectful? Because there's a lack of preparation. Okay, it's coming. What are you going to do about it? Right? That's the usual. Yes or no? Is there any school or college which prepares us how to face death?
No.
No, Mataji. When we say death, they say, why do you speak like that now? Everything is okay now, they'll say.
Yes.
Yeah, our Prabhupada says that the advancement of civilization means do something which will allay the death. But what are we
Yes.
doing? We are living in a civilization where we are expediting death. We are discovering nuclear bombs. We are discovering different kinds of weapons. Every day there are wars going. Every day the diseases are increasing in number. Right? So is that a civilization? No, only a very exalted devotee of Krishna can have that sharp intelligence. Like Matirna Krishna, what is it? Jo Jai Bhaje Krishna. se bada chatur, je bhaje, what is that line? Je bhaje Krishna se bada chatur. So one who is actually worshipping Krishna is very intelligent, not a foolish person. Because see, Prabhupada is raising this question. You're saying your civilization is advancing, but where is it advancing? You're expediting death. The knowledge is used to increase, anyway the death is coming, but expedite it. Do something, but more people will die earlier. So we are neglectful. Okay, but why it is important? Because if we are not going to change the world, at least we can change our own world. At least we can change our own perception of what is my where am I living, what am I doing, where is my time going, where is my attention going, and what am I doing with my life right now? Am I also being neglectful and callous or no? So this is the awareness. This is the first point of awareness, that these devotees are actually feeling very sorry and mocking us basically, because we are aware that there is an impending death, but we are not taking care of this. Okay, and then they go on to give these horrible examples from our life, that if the father dies, the son wants to enjoy the property. And I didn't know this. The son dies, then they want to enjoy the son's possessions as well. So basically, it is the enjoyment spirit is the thing which is very prominent. And what is the definition of enjoyment? Well, how can I acquire more and more money? Because more money means more access to enjoyment in the material world, and I don't have to think about this, great deal of dying or anything. So this is a very sorry situation of a materialistic person. So it only means that how serious one has to be in their own sadhana. How serious. If I don't want to become a mocking subject for these devotees in higher planets, then I need to at least become serious about my life. Prabhupada is explaining what is a material happiness. And we can look at this material happiness as computation and combination. You see, I'll give you one more example. In 13th chapter, Krishna explains Kshetra and Kshetragna, hai na? And in Kshetra, he explains which is the field of activity, which is the body, which is made of 24 elements, according to that chapter. And Kshetragna is two, right? Soul and super soul, the one who's observing. And then he concludes that in the material world, anything that we see, now he has generalized, anything that we see is nothing but a combination of Kshetra and Kshetragna. Done. Okay, if somebody is very proud of their discovery or this or that, then actually Krishna has summarized it in one line, that if we see anything in the material world, it is nothing but a combination of Kshetra and Kshetragna. Like that, Srila Prabhupada has summarized that material happiness means what? What does it mean? Having a facility for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That's it. Now, they can be different combinations and permutations. What are we eating? Where are we sleeping? Who are we mating? How are we defending? How much power we have? But this is a Samman Bowman, or this is a nutshell. Like that, Prabhupada has summarized all the sinful activities in 4 categories. You tell me what they are, please. There are so many sinful categories, but they're categorized into 4 broad headings. What are they?
आरती अर्धाती
Huh?
आरती अर्धाती
No, sinful activities, Prabhu. No, not that, not the
Sinful,
people
oh,
who
I see.
never go to Krishna. Very nice. Does it say meat eating, gambling, intoxication, and illicit relationships? The 4 pillars of all the sinful activities in the whole entire material world. Are you following what I'm saying?
Yes, Mataji.
Are you following?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, I am saying that this particular verse has to be understood from a broader perspective, that it may look like it is a very straightforward writing, but actually it is a summary of a lot of things happening around us. Okay, it is a summary of how I'm neglectful, even though I have a knowledge. There's so many, companies and businesses running on this knowledge that there's going to be a death. Right, but then I'm still neglectful. And then not only that, I will do anything. A materialistic person will do anything to acquire money in this material world, even on the name of death of their near and dear ones, so that they can be happy, because the definition of happiness is eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So it's like summarized. Okay, that's all. It's summarized. So we actually reduce our attraction to the material world, but if we read the Shastras like this. Okay, the allurement of the material world is very strong. You know, today I went to Hershey and I was looking that people, so many people who want to come and enjoy this, you know, come and enjoy outside countries, for example, or so many people from outside country want to go and enjoy India. Either way, the point I'm trying to make is like they want to go and enjoy and adventure. I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm just sharing my realization, which is like, so there's this attraction, okay, and it's not easy to go and fetch enjoyment in this material world or objects of enjoyment in this material world. One has to work really, really hard. Yes, if you want to go on a vacation, is it just like get up and go, or do we need to work really, really hard? We need to acquire money, and then we have to plan and take holidays. Yes or no? Or is it just like get up and go?
It's a big planning. You have to prepare yourself physically, so you need 2 months there. Then you have your 10 or 15 days vacation, which is going to be exhaustive. Prepare for the vacation, where you're going to stay, work, and where you're going to move, and what you're going to see. So it's going to be a big, big thing. It's like a war.
It's like a war. Right, Prakash, coming from you, it must be real. Because I think you're the only person in my life that I know has basically touched almost all of the world by now, right? Anyway, traveled. So anyway, so what I'm trying to say is that so there's this attraction and allurement of going here, going there, going there. But the words of the acharyas, okay, the potency, the mercy of the acharyas, or the mercy of the shastras, the mercy of the parampara is such that it reduces it. Okay, it makes us very focused. That look where your energy is going, because the trajectory of life is instant gratification, which will never be satisfied anyway. Brahmand Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev. You know, these fellows are sitting in near in Jambu Dweep in that what Varsha is this? Bharatashva Varsha, right? I might not be pronouncing it right, which is like an excellent place to be in as compared to where I am sitting right now. And they are praying to Krishna for purification. But here I am sitting on this planet and I'm getting allured by this or that or that. So what am I doing actually? Huh? My time will get over. And I know that. We know that, right? Krishna always gives this understanding, and all the more when one is in the middle age. Somehow or other, when one is in the middle age and then one is actually growing into the old age, if the person is sane, the person is pious, the realization, the reality of death becomes more and more clear. Yeah, does it happen like that? Like, this is real. I am actually going to die. Yeah, when a person is small or young, they really don't like care because they have so much time. But as the time runs and the person ages, it becomes real, becomes very, very clear that this is happening now. Okay, but what if this realization comes early on? What if we are able to use this life in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in a very, very happy manner? Then that life will be a gorgeous life, because that life will be a life which is blessed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly. It's not that Krishna is not loving a person who is not coming to him. It's not. You know, this question is raised here that to fetch a material happiness, one has to work hard and even do sinful activities. So why Krishna is allowing the sinful activities? So it's not that Krishna is allowing the sinful activities, but Krishna, the Supreme Lord, does not want any living being to act sinfully, and he begs him through his good conscience to refrain from sin. But when someone insists upon acting sinfully, the Supreme Lord gives him the sanction to act at his own risk. So we are actually at our own risk. We have no backing. That is why it's a fruitive activity. Now, That is why we are not released from the clutches of karmic reaction. That is why we have to take birth again and then go through the cycle of having a material body again and then go through this whole process again. And why again? Until I come to realize that no more. No more. There's nothing more than eating, sleeping, mating, and defending in terms of a definition of a material happiness. So a question will be raised that what is there in spiritual happiness? You know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains this. What is there in material happiness? What is that? Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. What is Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam? Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam. Complete me. Cheto Darpada Marjanam. Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitarinam.
Vidyavadu Jeevanam.
Vidyavadu
Anandam
Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam
So first verse.
Sarvasnapanam
All right, thank you.
Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
Thank you. So Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. So there are 7 benedictions. Okay, there are 7 benedictions in the first verse of Shikshashtakam. So one of the last benedictions is Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. So what does it mean? Ananda means spiritual happiness. Buddhi Vardhanam means after, there is continuous increase in the happiness. It's never ending. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. Pratipadam, in every step. Padam means step. Pratipadam means every step. Every step we take towards Krishna after our heart is cleansed. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that this is a benediction, that there is a multifold increase in the happiness. We just can't stay unhappy. There's so much happiness. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam Vidyavadu Jeevanam. So Vidyavadu, this is a very nice word, Vidyavadu Jeevanam. I don't want to digress the topic, but Vidyavadu Jeevanam is like this this spiritual happiness. Vadu means new bride. Okay, so Vadu Jeevanam means life. As the life of a new bride is her loving husband, like that, the life of a devotee who is in Krishna consciousness, whose happiness is increasing multifold, is in this particular moment when the happiness is multifold increasing. Okay, we can do actually Shikshashtakam. First verse has 7 benedictions, and this is one of the benedictions that the Brahma Sakhya is actually increasing, but a materialistic person cannot taste it. And the analogy given by Srila Prabhupada is, if a person has jaundice, they cannot taste the sweetness of the candy. They taste candy as what? This is the nectar of instruction. They taste candy as what? If somebody has a jaundice and you give them candy, what is the taste that they taste?
Bitter.
They taste bitter. But is candy bitter?
No.
Mataji.
Sweet.
Candy is not bitter. Like that, a materialistic person does not find any happiness in Krishna consciousness or spiritual activities because they are jaundiced by the material happiness. Okay, but and it's a very sorry situation. We don't have to become a party to their jaundice situation. We don't have to. Okay, because Krishna is so powerful that if we become really, really sincere, Krishna can use our life as an instrument to remove their jaundice also. Can happen. Okay, so, and this is another very sorry situation of this material world, where Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that Earth is the only planet where the son is dying in front of the father. Father is supposed to die in front of the sun, but other way it's happening. It's not happening in other planets, upper planets. We're not talking about the lower planets. Upper planetary system is not happening. So this is another kind of a misery, another kind of a misery that we are punished. Remember yesterday we were reading that a conditioned soul is punished every moment. Not like we have to wait for death or disease or some mishappening to happen for us to feel that I'm being punished. No, every moment is a punishment. It's a very nice verse. So understand that awareness of an impending death is there in a sane human being. Even an insane person will have it. Right? They are aware that I'm going to die, but they're callous, or I am callous. How do we know that I'm callous? Because I'm not preparing for it. And then what happens? What am I preparing for? A material happiness. How? Example given is very strong. That at the death of the father, the son wants to inherit the property, and at the death of the son, the father wants to get the son's possession so that the continuation of material happiness goes on. The other point I made was that Prabhupada has summarized the definition of material happiness into 4 things: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So if somebody has a very exemplary material life, very, very rich, very, very opulent, very, very powerful, but if they're not devotee of Krishna, then their life is a different combination and permutation of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Not a very exalted or not a very inspiring life. If at least for a person or for a soul who's trying to become pure in this life and go back to the lotus feet of Krishna, that soul will not be attractive. And how do we become that? By actually taking mercy, association, and chanting Hare Krishna and service. Okay, so I'm not saying that don't go on vacation. I'm not saying that don't take a break from regular life. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we have to, we have to become aware rather than getting allured by this or that, because the mind is impure. Now, the mind will go. It's not a surprising thing if mind goes to these places. What is surprising is if I'm able to bring it back. Krishna gives example of a turtle. What does he say in Bhagavad Gita? What does he say when he gives example of a turtle in 2nd chapter? From wherever
Turtle takes all the limbs inside the shell.
shell.
When it is in danger. When-
So always a turtle comes out and does its work, or if they want to eat, and then they go back. It's not that they're like always running around here and there. So Krishna gives an analogy of a turtle, a very important analogy that, okay, you live in a material world, but live in such a way like a turtle. And then he gives another place an example of a Padma Pushpam Ivam Bhase. The leaf of or lotus flower is untouched by the water. So it is in contact with the most dirty water, but it is untouched by the water, right? And Krishna gives instruction another place also that the wherever the mind wanders on account of its impure and unsteady nature, one must bring it back from wherever it goes. There's so many places that Krishna has said that it is not surprising if my mind is going to the objects of sense gratification. It is actually very like kind of so-called normal right now. What is surprising is if I become aware and try to bring it back. Okay, because otherwise, this is what is happening. We don't have a backing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I will commit sinful activity because it does not involve Krishna. And if I'm doing sinful activity, Krishna will let me be because that's what I want to be. And then I have to take birth again. And it actually hurts him as well. Why? Going to Krishna is easier than living in this material world. But Prahlad Maharaj says this in 7th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. I was so surprised when I read this. And Prabhupada explains it in the purport. Prahlad Maharaj says that spiritual life is so easy. Material life is difficult. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that how. That he says, for example, if I want to become Krishna conscious, I am sitting where I am sitting, and then I can just start chanting Hare Krishna. But if I want to have material happiness, then I have to get up, work, earn money, and then arrange for the happiness, like as Prem Prakash Das Prabhu explained us. So it's very difficult. Krishna consciousness is easy. Wherever I am, Krishna becomes available. That is the strength of his love. The thing is, we don't want to acknowledge it. We don't want to feel it for some reason or the other. But why? I think I'll stop here. Any questions, reflections, realizations, or corrections? It's a very nice prayer. Am I audible? Questions, reflection, realization, corrections?
Yes, Mataji, you are audible, Mataji.
Okay. No questions, no reflections, no realization, no. Okay, complaints. Thank you.